Hello, my sweet and beautiful friends. Welcome back to my channel. It is so good to see you all again. I'm so excited to have you here and to share with you some really fun thrift flips today. Today we are going to go do some thrift shopping because I thought it would be a ton of fun to go thrift some items, bring our finds back to the studio and see if we can't upcycle them and just give them a little bit of a facelift. So I'm very excited to take you all shopping with me. So without further ado, let's go do some thrift shopping. So today we are thrift shopping in some small towns in Montana, and these stores are interesting to say the least. We did find some incredible places with some very fascinating pieces that just took us back to, they were like the blast from the past type places. I always find the entire experience of thrift shopping to be so fascinating. Just walking through all the aisles of the antique stores and thrift shops can be so nostalgic for me. I will often see items that I remember from my childhood, and I remember seeing my aunts and uncles and my grandparents and my parents using. But then I will see items that I'll just be like, what even is this? And what was it even used for? So I just find the whole thing so fascinating. And today we did find a few really amazing pieces that I can hardly wait to share with y'all. And I'm very excited to jump in and start recycling them. So some of the pieces that I picked up today are this really amazing globe. I thought when I picked it up and I was looking at it, I thought, oh, I think we can do something really, really fun with this. So I picked up this globe, and y'all, I think I paid maybe $10 for it. I don't even remember. Then I found this gorgeous flower tin that I saw this and immediately knew, oh, this is something I am going to have so much fun with, and I'm going to enjoy it, and it will be fun to give this a whole new facelift. Sometimes when I pick up pieces from the thrift store, I have a hard time getting creative and seeing what it could be. But today I just got so lucky with all of these pieces, and I knew that every one of them were going to be so fun to flip. So our last item that I found today was this really cool milk can, and it looks so cool just the way it is, but I do want to upcycle it, and I was kind of thinking about fall and maybe Halloween with this piece. So y'all, let's go do some thrift flipping and see what we can turn our finds into. Y'all, I love this piece. There's just something about this flower bucket that just spoke to me so much. So when I picked it up, I knew it was going to come home with me, or when I first saw it, I knew it was going to come home with me. I think it is beautiful the way it is, but I do feel like we can just elevate this a little bit and take it to the next level with some fun paint. So I did go ahead and wrap that wooden handle in some painter's tape just because I didn't want to get any paint on that. I want to keep that its natural wood. Then I came in and I started painting this with some chalk paint in the color sandstone, but then I got this first side painted and was like, oh, yuck. I really don't think I like this at all. So then I came in with this gorgeous green color, and if y'all know me at all, you know that I love green. Green is my favorite color. It doesn't matter what shade of green it is. I love green. Well, maybe not some shades, but I love most shades of green. So I decided to go ahead and make this bucket green, and I am just using some enamel paint here that I had left over from a previous project that I used in my summer decorate with me video. So if you missed that, I will have it linked in the description box for y'all. So I went ahead and painted the entire thing in this gorgeous green color. And y'all, I'm not sure what it was about this tin bucket. I cleaned it really well, but it still took 4 coats of paint to get full coverage on this. And so I'm not sure why, but it did take a lot of paint. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove all of my tape from that pretty wooden handle. And y'all, the struggle here was really real. I'm not even sure why I struggled to get this off so much. Maybe I just used too much tape in the beginning, but the struggle was real. Okay, so I finally got the tape off that wooden handle. I don't know why that was so difficult. All right, so now I'm going to come in with some antiquing wax, and I'm going to use the color white. This is a Waverly white antiquing wax that I'm using here. And I'm going to just start with my wax brush and just go around some small sections in circular motions. And then I come in with my clean towel. I'm not using a damp towel here. I am using a dry cloth, and I wipe it off a little bit, and then I just kind of repeat this process throughout the entire section of the bucket. And my goal here is to just enhance all that raised tin a little bit and kind of get that wax down inside some of the grooves, but I don't want it to really be on the top surface, if that makes sense. So I just keep doing this. I did pile on several layers of this white wax. I think I ended up with like 4 layers of white wax on this to get this effect that I was going for here. And then to just add a little bit more depth to this, I do come in with some antiquing glaze and do the same exact process all over again to just give this project a little more depth and dimension. So after I finished using the dark antiquing glaze, I did come back in with one more coat of the white antiquing wax, went over the whole thing one more time. And a little trick, if you feel like your white wax is just a little too strong, you can come in with a dry brush and go over the whole thing with your original green color to just brighten things up. Okay, y'all, so this is where I had a lot of fun with this project. I wanted to make all of those raised tin flowers on this thing really pop. So I came in with a teeny tiny brush and some gold rub and buff and just kind of outlined all the flowers on this. This was a little bit time consuming and it was a little bit of a process, but in the end, I love this. Y'all, I really love this. You'll have to let me know what you think of this in the comments down below, but I think it just turned out stunning. So my thought for this really cute little milk tin was to I was sort of thinking I wanted to use this piece like in my fall and Halloween decor. So my thought for this was to come in with some black chalk paint. So I'm using Waverly black chalk paint here, and I'm going to cover the entire piece. And I did clean this really, really well with some Cud Crutter before coming in with painting. And this one, it only took 2 coats of paint. So I'm not sure what the difference was between the 2 pieces, maybe just something to do with the types of metal or whatnot. But this one only took 2 coats of paint to get full coverage on it. So I covered the entire thing with the black paint.
Then I wanted to come in with some Rub and Buff. Y'all, if you've never used Rub and Buff, you've got to give this stuff a try. I will tell you though, it is really messy, and I would not use a good paintbrush to do this because it does sort of ruin the paintbrushes. It doesn't wash out like normal paint does. And I would also recommend using gloves because I got this stuff all over my hands and it took a lot to get it off my hands. So anyway, I thought it would be really fun to paint the lid with this Rub and Buff, and I'm using antique gold on the lid for this, and I love the contrast. I think it is so much fun. Okay, so we need to add a little bit of brightness to our milk can here. So I'm going to come in with that same antique gold Rub and Buff, and using a Q-tip, I'm just going to go over all the raised sections that are on this tin bucket. Like the lettering was kind of raised, and then there's those raised bands across the top and the bottom. And I'm going to go over all of those with this Rub and Buff to just give this piece a little more pizzazz, I guess you could say. Even though I'm using a Q-tip, I did make a few messes on this. A super small paintbrush would have worked on this too, probably better than the Q-tip, but like I said before, this does not actually wash out of paintbrushes, and I didn't want to ruin any of my really good paintbrushes to do this, so that's why I decided to use the Q-tip. But I did make some messes, but don't worry because we can come back in and fix that in just a bit. The handle on this cute little bucket had some cute little, I guess these would be called rivets. So I decided to go ahead and enhance those too by just dabbing on a little bit of the Rub and Buff on these as well. And I really like how that turned out. I think it looks really, really cute. It actually looks so pretty, to be honest. I love this gold with the black. I just think these two colors together are so, so pretty. So now I'm going to just come back in and clean up all of my messes where I kind of got out of the lines a little bit with some of our original black chalk paint. And I'm just using an angle brush to do this. And I just go straight across, taking advantage of the benefits of an angle brush here to just clean up all of my messes. After I got the top band on this done, I decided we needed to balance this out a little bit by adding some of the gold Rub and Buff to the bottom of this as well. And so I just came in with that same little Q-tip, the same exact process. And if my lines weren't perfectly straight, I just straightened them up with our original black chalk paint and my angle brush. Okay, so what do y'all think of this? I really, really am liking the results of this. I love how the gold and the black just complement each other so well. And I think you could use this for so many fun, different, you could style it so many fun, different ways in your decor. I really think I'm going to use this in my fall decor because I think it will be so pretty.
I have have a very, very, very special someone that is going to be crafting with me today, or, just working with me today in the studio. I'm very excited to introduce you all to this sweet and precious little gal. My grandchildren have been here visiting for the past week, and I still have one more week with them. And my sweet, precious little granddaughter, she just loves all things creative and all things crafty, just like her grandma does. And she so much wanted to be part of today's video. So y'all, I would like to introduce you to my sweet, precious little granddaughter, Brecken.
Hi, I'm Brecken. I'm Alecia's granddaughter. I wanted to make something for my friends because I like doing art with my grandma, so I made a Spider-Man thing.
Okay, so little Miss Breckers wanted to create some fun crafty projects that she could take home to all of her friends. She's been with us for a little while, and I think she's missing her friends at home, and she thought it would be fun to just create some gifts that she could take to her friends that, were things that they loved. And she has her dear friend that just loves all things Spider-Man. So we thought it would be fun to create this fun little Spider-Man leaner. Like she could just take it and lean it against a shelf or whatnot. So we just took a block from our scrap wood pile, and then we printed this Spider-Man image off of Google. It was just a Google image. And then she went ahead and Mod Podged it to the board, rolled it down really well, let that dry, then came back over the top with some more Mod Podge to seal the piece. After her entire project was dry, she did come across the whole board with a sanding file and just sanded all of the edges to just clean it up a little bit and give it a little bit of that distressed look on the edges. Then she thought it would be a lot of fun to come in and create a spider web across the top of this. And she was feeling a little bit afraid of the hot glue gun, so I helped her with this, and we just came in and created this web with some, I think this is macrame cording actually. I was so proud of my granddaughter though. She did such a great job on this piece, and she was feeling so excited to give this to her friend. When I first saw this globe in the antique store, it appealed to me, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with it. So it took me a few days of just kind of thinking and processing through, and then I finally came up with a really fun idea. So I called in some reinforcements. Michael came in. He's helping me disassemble this globe. We just took all of the parts off of it that, make it spin. I guess I'm not even sure, with the little pedestal thingy. And then once we got that done, we took it out to the shop, and Michael cut off a small section of the bottom of this globe for me with using our bandsaw so that we could have an opening on the bottom to proceed to our next step. This globe wasn't in the best of shape, so after Michael cut that bottom section off for me, we decided to go ahead and reinforce this together in that center seam, just using some wood glue, and then we just reassembled the whole thing. We clamped it together, and I let it sit overnight and to give this glue plenty of time to completely set up. After letting the globe sit overnight to let that glue completely set up, I came back in and sanded down all of those rough edges from cutting it on the bandsaw. And this globe was literally just made out of very thick cardboard, so it wasn't the best quality globe to begin with, so it was a little tricky to work with. But after I got it all sanded, I thought, okay, let's come in and take a drill bit and trace around all the, major countries and continents on the globe to create holes. Because if you haven't already guessed it by now, we're going to turn this into a lantern or a lamp of sorts. And so I wanted to drill holes all the way around all the major parts of the globe so that when we put our lights in it, they'll all kind of just glow and shine. So my thoughts for this globe was to create the lantern, lamp, so to speak, and hang it in my wine cellar drink area in my grand room. And I was kind of hoping, I was going for that effect that it would just represent, wine from around the world. But I didn't want to leave it in that, natural globe color. I wanted it to be a solid color. So I took it outside, spray painted the entire thing with this Rust-Oleum hammered paint, and I can't remember what color I used, but I will link that in the description box for y'all. I let the paint set up completely on this globe, and then back in the studio we are going to go ahead and insert our lights into this. And these are the lights that I'm using. I found these at Michael's. Oh gosh, I think I've had these for like a year and they've been in my stash. So I pulled them out of my stash. We're going to use those for the inside, and then I'm going to use some black macrame cording for the creates like the rope to hang it from. And I liked this macrame cording because it kind of reminded me of like those old-fashioned electrical cords that are sort of wrapped in that like cloth look. So I just came in, strung it through, tied a whole bunch of knots in this so that it doesn't fall through the hole, and then we'll create a loop at the top to hang it from the hook. To attach our little battery box thingy into the globe, I'm going to use some of these Velcro command strips, attach that in, and then I just came in with some packing tape, which you can see up there in the corner, just barely. Breckers is helping me cut the tape, and I just taped the lights all around the circumference of this globe. And this is the end result. And so y'all, I did take these final pictures in the daylight, so you can't really see how this glows, but at nighttime it looked really pretty. And I think this would be a super fun project if you took like multiple globes and kind of hung them around, especially in this particular closet, because it would kind of frame the whole thing in. So I might be on the hunt for some more globes now to create an entire vignette of globe lights inside my little closet, my little wine bar closet here.
Alrighty, sweet friends, that is going to wrap up today's episode. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I had a ton of fun. I love these episodes where we can just go thrift shopping, find pieces that may not look like much, bring them back home, and just upcycle them and give them facelifts. I love how all of our projects turned out today. Y'all will have to let me know in the comments down below what was your favorite piece. And if thrift shopping is something that you enjoy, I would love to hear your thrift stories. I hope you all will come back and see me again next week. I'm very excited to share with you some fun summer sewing projects. My sweet little granddaughter loves to sew, and she asked me if we could do some sewing projects next week, and how could I possibly say no to that sweet little face? So that's what we will be jumping into again next week, some fun summer sewing projects. So y'all come back and see me again next week. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.